Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the Reverse Sweep. As always, I am your host because I'm deeming myself host because all these other guys never want to do the introduction and they always force me to do it. So I just want to take this moment before we get into this podcast, show you guys my new hoodie. Long Island represent, man.
Trash. Also, I do a fair share of the intros, but yeah, Pat and Chris agreed.
As always, guys,
I'm the outro master.
we got the outro master Aches, we got the world champion Parasite, and then we got the just overall nice guy, amazing teammate, amazing person,
Best to ever do it with one thumb.
that ever
Know
played COD, Ian and Abel. What's up, man?
Doug, don't wait. You're not guessing. Both of them have been saying this guy's nice. Like, he's a nice guy.
I mean,
He's a great
You're a
guy.
nice guy, man.
I didn't want to say it.
I'm
I
doing
didn't
great
want
though,
to say
Doug.
it too. I didn't want to say it
look,
too.
I'm doing great, man. I went to a food festival. I'm ready to talk about everything and anything COD related. I'm also a little, drunk.
We can tell. We can tell.
I'm
we can
kidding.
always
I'm kidding.
tell.
Food drunk.
I'm good. It's had a long day watching COD. The matches were pretty boring, to be honest, and we've had a few illnesses throughout the week. But nonetheless, we got Major 2 on the way, so we have a lot of talking points to get to.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Chris, the matches, I think it's tough, right? Because when you had like OpTic being some of the best matches we wanted to see, like that OpTic FaZe match, like I feel like that one in particular, everyone has been waiting for since the finals of Major 1, and obviously Simp came down with a bug, so that sucks. So hopefully that is all behind us, and that won't happen for the Major 2 or any matches, hopefully in the future, so we can always be able to watch some good games. But yeah.
Anyways, right before we get on to the questions and we get to the rest of the show, as you guys like to know, we like to do questions at the beginning of the show. You guys have been killing it with the subscribers, and you guys have been doing a phenomenal job with showing support to the channel. So we actually wanted to make another goal to surpass Crimsix in followers. So if you guys love the show, subscribers, sorry. If you guys love the show and you guys support what we're doing, get us to more subscribers than Crim.
How many subs does Crim have?
Not a lot. As a
Is it like
bum.
half a mil? 500K?
612. How many?
612, 90 active probably. So.
Are you one of those 90 with the notifications on, Pat?
No, I've never been subscribed to Crim. His content was lackluster at best. So that's why we putting out the reverse sweep A1 content, and that's why we're gonna pass him up in subs here soon. But
yes, sir.
So smooth, Pat.
Pat's an idiot, bro. Army P.
All right, so let's get right into it, guys. We got YouTube questions. Thank you guys again for submitting all your questions. For those of you guys that are always active in there. First question is going to come from Nazwa. It's a question for the pod. How far is COD or just esports in general away from from the casting / commentary talent being separate from the league? Do you see a single entity forming similar to ESPN to represent casters, analysts, shows like this in the flank? To expand on Parasite's point on why the league just doesn't do this, I think the faster a third-party org comes to handle all of this, the better off esports is. Your thoughts?
Well,
I think it's too far away. No, what do you mean does?
Wait, he said an entity that represents the casters, right? Like that kind of already exists, right? Am I crazy? Like, Ian, you're represented by Bad Moon. There's Character Select Agency that represents some of the casters. Is that kind of what he meant? I was kind of confused.
I think he talks about like more of like an ESPN type thing. Like, you know, you have like I Hold Shift doing the Challenger community streams. Like he's talking about something where there's like a team or like a brand, like the flank, but you had it for like strictly Call of Duty casters and then shows and then matches. I think that's what
well, in my head, because like with ESPN, right? They have to have some sort of agreement where
with the league.
With the league where they pay the league money. Like I don't see, even though I guess the flank would be the best example of that right now. Or, I mean, no, because I Hold Shift that's like part of the CDL. But if it was like a third party thing, like I don't think you're gonna see the flank or any other company pay the CDL for like the rights to actually have like I mean, because ESPN's what, 24/7, like 24/7, just all sports.
Yeah, but they also have the rights to like air the games on their network, right?
Yeah,
that's
what I'm saying. That's how I was looking at it. That's why I don't think it's close.
Yeah, if that's the case, then yeah, I don't see that actually ever happening in esports. Personally, I think the the publishers will always kind of run that show. I don't know if you guys have a different
Unless
opinion of it.
Trainwrecks wants to, help support, I'll do it. He just got to he got to have my finances, cause shoot.
Yeah, I don't think it's very close. I don't even know if that's ever a direction we're ever going to head in, specifically with COD. I mean, we've already talked about our struggles and how we feel Activision and Blizzard, or
It would be cool though.
yeah, it would be definitely cool. It'd be a lot more organized, and it'd definitely be a lot more favorable to the fans and the people that are actually, putting out the content. But I don't think that's ever going to happen. We've already talked about, like I said, our struggles with Activision and how the CDL just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem like they definitely put their first foot forward when it comes to retaining talent. Let alone you already, even at the highest level, you see like Merc and Maven aren't even like full time with the CDL anymore.
Yeah.
And they're like,
they're events only, right?
They can't even get good
matches.
photographers. Did y'all see Neptune's photo that they used? Come on.
What's with that picture, man? His eyes are
y'all make fun of his, but bro, Octane's the one who should really be mad.
Son, they got elementary school photographers.
Yeah, and if you're a photographer who shot those, sorry about it, but
yeah, I won't say your
name. Get a second opinion on your work. That's all we're saying.
My thing is Neptune has another face picture. Why don't they just use that one, or use the best headshot? You don't need an updated head. I mean, I guess you get updated headshots every year, but it shouldn't be that hard to do them. I mean,
so if it's that bad, I pull them over to the side. We got to redo this.
Yeah, right.
Bro, the photographer must have been in a hurry, bro, to not stop him and be like, "Yo, listen, that one didn't come out good. We got to retake this."
Wait, does the player pick it? Because it should be they should have multiple pictures, options to choose from.
That's how, bro. When I took the headshots for the CDL, when the CDL first started, that's how it was. Remember we went to that room at the I
was there, yeah.
The summit, yeah, the summit,
LA,
and the photographer was like, all right, here we took 4, pick one or whatever. I don't know, they must have just been in a rush this year or something, because some of these photos are busted for sure.
Or maybe it was online or something. I don't know. But Chris, I think we're all in agreement on this. I think it's a long way until we would ever see that. I don't even think that format's going to be a thing by the time Call of Duty gets to the point where it should or needs to get to. With the internet and your cell phone and having options to do things, maybe there'll be a platform where you could just watch everything, but you could also just go to direct links, which a lot of people do. So what's the next question, Chris?
Next question is by Andre _921. Question for the reverse sweep: when the merger happened between Envy and OpTic, do you guys think if Crim was in the OpTic Texas lineup for Dashy, would they have won Major 1? No.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
you take away your MVP, and no offense to Crim, but he's obviously not the level of Dashy right now. I don't think he would be, even if he played with that roster, right? But also, if you look at the actual Major 1, they reverse swept FaZe.
Yeah.
And right. So think about it. If their entire team didn't perform up to those standards, even with Dashy playing as good as he is, Ender playing as good as he is, Shotzzy, Scump, you really think they were going to beat FaZe if they got into a situation like that again? No.
No,
They clearly weren't going to win.
They could have did well.
Their MVP, they could have done well, but they weren't going to win.
Listen, hold on. Who asked this question, bro? Andre 921. I feel like you asked this question knowing the answer. Ain't one of us gonna say Crim on OpTic would have won Major 1. Not
he
one
wanted
of us.
Yo, he low key just wanted us to gas Dashy.
Yeah, literally. Andre, you knew what you were doing, bro. So that was enough airtime for you. I expect better. I'm not even responding to that next week, because that one was no, sir.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't read this question up until we actually brought it up. But like we like to do on the flank, we like to give us a len for the producer. We're gonna need a lames for James.
Lame. We get a lames in here.
Terrible question. We need a lames, dude.
Nah, I'm getting a Landre, bro, because that one was unacceptable out of him.
All right, what's the next one?
Next question, please.
Okay, next question, final question that we're going to be answering is by Andy R. Questions for the next week. Do you genuinely think any current roster outside of FaZe and OpTic wins a tournament this year, especially having to beat both those teams in one tournament?
Absolutely. I mean, when do we see in Call of Duty history where just one or two teams max win? There's always at least a third team that either wins or goes to finals consistently. Last year we had 4 different teams win majors? We had 3 or 4. We had Minnesota, FaZe, Toronto. Anyone else? Or was that it?
Minnesota, FaZe,
that was
Toronto, that was it. So I mean,
but there were 6 majors though, so
there's only 6 this year though.
Is there 6 or 4?
I thought there was. Well, I guess 6 if you count the kickoff, right? Because 5 major. No, because champs.
Wait, isn't it 4 majors in the champs this year?
Yeah, but that's what you're saying if you
I don't
count
know.
it too.
But
So
I mean,
honestly,
no, Doug, you're right.
regardless- Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like OpTic and FaZe are by far the 2 best teams in the game right now, but it's so hard for them to both stay consistent. Like, and not even necessarily them, just like the best teams in any game, to where there will be one event where another top team will be on fire, and maybe OpTic or FaZe or both of them they get upset, whatever the case may be. Like, I do think another top team will win one, but I think we're going to see OpTic and FaZe probably in the majority of the finals, or at least they're going to make it the furthest in the rest of the events, in my opinion.
Yeah,
There's only 3
so
more as well. You know?
If anything, the only thing that I will say about this is I do think another team can and probably will step up to win a tournament. But if anything, a better question is, do you think there will be a finals this year that doesn't have one of FaZe or OpTic in it? Like, do you really
No.
think there's 2
No.
teams
No.
that can make
No.
it to
No.
the finals? I don't think so either.
And
That's what I'm saying. I think one of them could get upset early on and have a hard road, but I think you will see OpTic or FaZe in every single finals.
Unless
At
there's
least
some
one.
weird Fugaze bracket, right? That for some reason that happens. I don't think that's ever going to be the case. And simply it's because, bro, OpTic and FaZe just look different. I mean, realistically, the third best team right now was arguably Breach or Ravens. And if you watch the league this weekend, Ravens beat Boston. It wasn't close, even though Boston has looked phenomenal throughout the entire qualifier. But then if you're going back and looking at the major one, when the third best team played against the second best team, it wasn't close.
Yeah,
When
should have
the
been a
third best
3-0.
team played against the first best team, it wasn't close. So as much as I love London and I love, you know, a lot of the other teams, it's just it's not close between the first and second teams. In terms of consistency factor, I don't think there will be a final this year. And I could be proven wrong because at the end of the day, we're just speculating. But there probably will not be a final this year where FaZe or OpTic is not in it, going up against either their counterpart or some other team. But
Listen, I'm not speculating. No major event outside of champs this year will not be an OpTic FaZe final.
Wait, both? You think they're both going to be the finals every single?
the reason he's saying that is because he knows Ultra.
Oh, wait, I thought you said Toronto Ultra was winning COD champs.
I said
why,
outside of
that's what I'm
champs.
saying.
Outside of champs. I think for like
oh.
major 1, 2, 3, and 4, they'll all be OpTic FaZe finals. All of them. Every
Damn.
single one.
You still feeling that way, Pat?
That's a hot
about
take.
Toronto Ultra?
That's a hot take.
Oh yeah. They'll be back. They'll be back at champs. That's in September. Like that's so far away from now. But from
Pat
now
not sweating
until,
yet. Pat's not sweating yet.
No, not at all. Not at all. But from now until champs, I see every event, barring some like absurd blockbuster roster move where like Hydra gets put on like a contending team or something like that. I don't see currently any way that it's not OpTic FaZe every event, because talent wise, they're just simply better. And I feel like in other games, we could argue like teams could progress and learn and like adapt and get better. But in this one, I feel like given the map set we have right now, I personally feel like there isn't much progression you can do just based on how standard this game is played. Like there's not really room for creativity on these maps and modes, and there's not much these players are doing differently, you know, as the game progresses. So for me, I think it's just going to be a OpTic FaZe the whole year until something major changes, being a master roster or major roster change or a big game update.
Yep, I agree with you completely. But that's going to wrap it up with our questions. So for the rest of the show, we are actually going to be bringing up our tier list again that we had for Major 1. And we're going to be doing some revisions, and we're simply going to be talking about every single team and how they've changed from Major 1 to Major 2.
Before we get into this, I do want to say, of all of us here, I had OpTic in the S tier, and y'all didn't want to put them there. So I just want to put that out there. You know that this doesn't really look accurate, but hey, somebody was saying it. I'm just saying.
You also wanted to put Toronto Ultra in the S tier, bro.
You also said FaZe is the best team in the game right now, and that is simply not the case.
They are. Listen, if they played with a sub today, if they didn't have a sub, they would have waxed the floor with OpTic. But anyway,
oh my god, dude.
Let's get into it.
Oh, so
are we start top to bottom?
Yeah, or bottom to top.
I think we
Bottom
should
to top
definitely
seems
start from
interesting,
bottom
doesn't
to
it?
top.
Yeah.
We should definitely start from bottom to top. So
Paris.
yes, we start with the good.
Jake, keep
old-
them
I think
there.
we're spot on with that. I think they stay there.
Well,
I mean,
Paris
look, they look better, but they don't look better
than anyone
enough to
else.
pass anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
you're right.
They did win
I
a
think-
series though.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but winning a series means nothing. What?
hey, I
Winning a
will say one
series?
thing. They've lost a lot of game 5s, and I know they won one. They do look at least competitive in their series now. They're still, I think, the worst team, but they're competitively the worst team. They're not like in a tier of their own where they just suck. Because I think they can take maps off, any team on any given day. I just don't think this team has
Bro,
enough
honestly,
to win a
if
series.
it wasn't for the schedule, I would have loved to see Paris Legion versus current LA Thieves. Like, if Paris Legion would have beat LA Thieves, like I'd be putting like Paris at least like maybe go up one tier or something. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, anyways, we'll get to LA Thieves, but yeah, Paris definitely looks better. But I mean, when we're strictly looking at a tier list, they don't look better than anybody up there on the list. Maybe there's an argument for them versus the Mutineers, for some sort of spot, but they're going to stay, I think, at the bottom of the D tier, whether they're at the bottom of it or towards the top end of the D tier. Like,
Can we
that's
take
a
Temp
different
out and just
argument.
put like Temp's name in a tier above his own team? Can we
That
do that?
ain't right, Pat. That ain't
So
right.
messed
I mean,
up,
but it's
dude.
warranted. Like, that guy's actually the superstar of the team. Everyone outside Donnie has been very inconsistent. Temp, sorry. He's being done dirty. I think he's a lot better than the team he's on. And I think he's done a lot to kind of reform himself as a player and as a teammate. And he's playing some of the best COD he's played. He's a lot of the reason why some of their series are consistent, or not consistent. A lot of their series are competitive versus some of the teams they've played. But I mean, you just simply can't justify putting them anywhere else but D tier at this point.
All right, well,
I mean, yeah, you could be more right.
I don't think any of us.
Oh, us.
I think, yeah, Paris looks better, but they don't look enough for me to move them up to a different tier. I mean, they did have that one win. Was it over Toronto?
Yeah, 3-2.
So- and Toronto's been struggling too. It seems like other teams made adjustments, New York and Paris, and they both beat Toronto, which I don't even know if Toronto has won a match in this split. But regardless, I think we all agree on Paris being still probably ranked 12th. I mean, you can't really keep New York in the same tier, right, guys? Like all they've done since they made a
No.
roster change was win everything.
Definitely not. Yeah.
I think at the very least, if we're going to move on to New York, so as New York, we already know New York has picked up Paul. They decided to keep Neptune, and luckily they decided to keep Neptune. They were getting rid of him. They were trying to get rid of him for Colt Havoc, but unfortunately,
Good thing Cole
fortunately
wasn't thinking
for
straight.
Neptune, yeah, good thing he wasn't thinking straight because this game.
Yo, wait, hold on.
Neptune-
Let's talk about Colt real quick. This team was broken, weren't they? This team was a terrible
Oh, come on.
environment.
Hey, let him
broken
live. Let him live.
team.
He made a
He
mistake.
didn't want to go into this environment. Blah, blah, blah. Nah, listen, I like when people make mistakes. That's fine. But he doubled down in his twit longer talking about blah, 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 New York. This would have been terrible for my career. I wanted Kismet.
Boy was
No!
trying to get his teammate the golden ticket too.
New York is frying. So
I think
that was a horrible
NYSL's
mistake.
B tier. I'll be the one to say it.
I agree with you. I think they should be B tier if they've won all their matches.
I mean, look, with Paul, they're 3-0. Okay. They've beaten now Toronto, Minnesota, and Paris. Obviously, Paris, but Minnesota and Toronto, they're both solid teams still. And they haven't lost the hard point. They're 6-0, right? I believe with him in the 3 series. Like, we're talking about a team that couldn't sniff a hard point win to now looking very good. They haven't played the top dogs, but like, I think you could put them in the B tier. We obviously have to shuffle around a couple other teams, but I definitely think that they are above the C tier, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah, I definitely think you're on that same page because I'm looking at the teams and I can think of a few teams that are definitely underneath them, not in the same category as B tier is definitely solid. But just talking about that whole Havoc thing again, real quick. Luckily for Neptune, man, he gets a second chance on the roster and he's showing out. Guy's been playing really good. He definitely deserves his props. A lot of us doubted him, basically said they need to get rid of him. They need to bring on 2 players, but lo and behold, at least for now, for the time being, for what we're expecting, a 1-player shuffle seems to have done them good. I don't really know if it's just the Paul X effect or if it's the fact that they lost Clayster. Not necessarily that Clayster was an issue, but Clayster Krim being an issue, right? Definitely impacted him and turned his whole mentality around, his whole gameplay style around. So shout out to that guy. But yeah, New York definitely at least a B tier, in my opinion.
By the way, shout out Ian. Enable. I think you were one of the first ones to call out the Krim and Clay can't work, and so
You know,
Finally, obviously, they made that change recently, and
you know what's
Don't-
Pat?
and
People think I'm
dividends.
stupid, right? Because I make
'Cause
fun
you
of
are.
myself. No. You know,
You are.
it's character. You know, I do it for content, but like people don't know I do this. Like I know these teams' issues like the back
Yeah.
of my hand. You know what I'm saying? I
Bro,
know it.
Funny thing is, people used to give me shit because back in the day, if anyone remembers this in Black Ops 2, I said, JCap and Proofy can't be on the same team. I was the same
Yeah, I remember that.
thing.
I actually saw that
Boy,
clip not that long ago.
Yeah, that team was garbage. I was like, bro, what is this team? Like, it's the same concept, man. You just know, bro.
It's just an easy read. It's just
It's
easy.
You said that in the first
Easy read.
episode, Chris. Yeah, I think you mentioned that again in the first episode. It's crazy to think that like you could have two players like Crim and Clay, and it just simply isn't working. To go from because Paul's a lot faster than Clay, obviously, but like
Yeah.
it just really goes to show you on this game you need aggression. I mean,
Yeah,
the
it's just
game
a
is
game.
it's a very linear game where you have to get to a spot, make people think to turn, and then hit a little slide cancel on a tight little alley or hit a pinch and get to a quadrant. Like it's just very quick, man. And to just see how much better they progress, I think B tier does make a lot of sense. But I also think that like as we keep going up this list, guys, like I'm looking at this right now, the next team in the C tier is Florida, which I mean we could
I think they stay there.
We could possibly move them down a tier too, I feel. What do you
They
guys
D
think?
tier for me until they make a change.
Yeah. I mean,
I think they're better than Paris. Though. That's
Okay.
the only
They're,
thing.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
better,
but they're
but
ahead of
D
D.
tier.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Like Pat's saying, I think they're down there until they make a change. They're like they have competitive maps, but at this point, every single team in this league is having competitive maps. But it's not about
Yeah.
that anymore. Like they can
No,
have
wait,
one or two
also-
competitive maps, but none of these guys can close. Their map pool is terrible. In terms of like they're just in shambles. I
Keep
think
in
they
mind,
definitely need
Florida
to
has
change.
the worst map pool in the whole league. They have like the
Yeah.
least amount of maps played, and they literally get I don't know how. I mean, I feel like if teams just start vetoing bow cage and not caring, like outside of FaZe and OpTic, just veto bow cage against Florida, and they're literally guaranteed. So far, statistically, they're guaranteed to lose a series if bow cage isn't in the map rotation. That's just a fact. They haven't won a series so far. So, I think this team just has a very tiny map pool, and composition wise with their roster, it just doesn't make sense. 3 ARs, you're not going to find success in Vanguard. So yeah, I think they're D tier.
They just need to make they need to make a role change. They need to make at least a role change if they want to keep the same roster and they're desperately trying to hang on to their pieces, or they need to sub in Yeez, maybe make another trade. I think they definitely have.
He
some
did tweet.
movable-
Sorry for cutting you off. He tweeted some like a subliminal
Futures bright
tweet.
or something
Yeah,
like
so
that,
maybe
right?
they are. Maybe they're
I
thinking
know
about it.
Yeez, and it could actually be something, but Yeez tweets stuff like that all the time. So
He's one of those.
He just
Listen, for Florida's sake, let's just say he's
Pat
hopefully-
Jr. Farm EP.
Not for Florida's sake. Let's hopefully there was something behind that.
Yeah, because they need to at least try something. Because we've talked about
He's
the
exactly
whole.
what the team needs, Chris. They need someone. I mean, look, you bring in Paul for Clay, and they're undefeated. I'm not saying it was happening with Florida too, but they need a little bit more pace, man. Like you just need more speed.
Yeah,
like the game is
that's what I'm
fast.
saying. I just think they just need to do something, at least try. Because, I mean, I'm sick and tired of seeing Florida and the decisions they make as rosters. They let go of Havoc. I don't know if that was his choice that he wanted to leave, or if they just kind of like didn't bend to his decisions, because we've already seen that Havoc can very much
Yeah,
be
it probably was that.
right. He wants his way, and they kind of maybe didn't follow it, but maybe they're regretting it, right? But at the same time, they need to do something, man. This Florida team has been kept their Skyz and Awakening are getting borderline to the point where they can't play on the same team just as much as Crim and Clay were. And it's not because they're not both talented, it's because they just have too many fucking ARs. If they're gonna keep their Dave Patty, which they just recently signed, I'm assuming they're investing into that player's stock to some degree, and they want to switch out some of their veterans that have been on the roster for a little bit of time, maybe not have been producing to their liking. Then it would make sense that Caesar or Awakening has to go.
Bro, that's another, like, we're talking about this. We all knew Clay and Crim could not play together on this game. Why are you stacking, like, Florida's hoarding all the AR players? Why do you have every single player on your team be an AR? I don't understand it. Like, Awakening is better with an AR. Skyz is better with an AR. Dave Patty, never even seen him with a sub. He's better with an AR. Shit, Vivid probably is better with an AR at this point. Like, I don't understand what the thought process was from Boston creating this team. It
Dude,
was
they
never going
might
to be good.
listen. They might be playing the long con and think like Modern Warfare 2
Oh,
next
and
year.
then everyone
Next
just going to
year-
buy them all out. They're going to get hella cash. Don't nobody want none of those ARs.
Next year's gonna be a 4 AR game. They're just playing the long con for sure.
Hey, that'd be G if it was.
They need to make a change. I think they have movable pieces in Awakening, Skyz. They're both good players. I don't know if they'll end up going anywhere, but they
no
need to get rid
no
of
other
one or
team
the
needs an
other.
AR though. That's the problem.
They need to get
They
rid
should
of
just-
one or
just-
the other.
No, they should just honestly. I hate to say it, but they should just probably just get another AR and just have 4 ARs running around.
Yo,
the map.
imagine on every single
Like
map
a
they didn't run a
Mohawk or
single
something.
sub.
Yeah,
It'd
get
be the
Mohawk.
most annoying
But
team to play.
what if that's meta and we're all just like behind?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe
They
but
might
then-
as well try it.
Every
because
team would
it ain't
just
working
veto
what they're doing right
Gabba
now.
and be like, yeah, we'll play you on Bocage,
yeah,
run 4
Mohawk,
ARs.
Awakening, Skyz, and Dab Patty on Bocage Hardpoint.
Yeah. All right.
Well, who's
so
the next team? I guess we got to
Boston.
move teams. Well, should we
Boston's
move? Boston's definitely
A
out of
tier.
C tier. I'll be
They're
honest.
4-1. A
Yeah,
tier.
of course.
Top
They're
6,
definitely
4-1.
A tier. They're definitely
They have
A
to be.
tier. They're not. It's not even close. They just literally went 4-1. They basically have shown promise. They basically have beat every team outside of FaZe, OpTic, and London, and those were the top 3 from the last major.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you there. Not A tier.
Yeah, I agree. I think
no, because you want to know why? No, because look, without
you're
obviously
about
we're
to
gonna
say
break
that.
it down. We all know we're gonna be swapping FaZe out of the S tier. They're gonna be in the A tier. London's gonna be there. I don't think Boston's on the same page as them. Boston did great. They did. They went 4-1. You look at the teams they beat though. They're majority average teams, and they did do it convincingly. But
That is Chicago Bulls, Ian. Just say it. There's
Okay,
2022
No,
Chicago
I'm not saying it's
Bulls.
Chicago Bulls, but something that I've been waiting on, which I gave them a little praise after they beat Toronto, because when they beat Toronto 3-2, not the last match, but the one before, I was like, that's the first good team that they're really going up against. I need to see them beat this team if they can actually maybe contend.
Yeah.
But
And
like
that was a struggling team.
exactly.
Yeah,
Struggling
I see
Toronto,
it.
they played London. They got the brakes beat off of them. Like they're overachieving, and I think they are far better, and they will consistently beat the teams below them. But I think they're number 1 in B tier.
Who did they beat
I agree.
this,
Seattle,
this
Toronto, Minnesota, and Florida. Those were their 4
Ooh,
wins.
You might be right.
Yeah.
People think I hate Boston. I just like where they're at right now. They are overachieving, in my
They
Yeah.
gotta
opinion.
at least be in the top of the B tier.
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
I think they're top of the B tier without a
You might
doubt.
be right. You
And
might
They're
be
better
also-
than all
they're
the
al-
other teams in the B tier. They are.
They're also one team that we still want to see more of on LAN, right? Ian, this is something you
Mhm.
talked about before after our Major 1 recap was like, they had a really easy bracket. And they also lost, by the way, to the Toronto team that was still struggling in hardpoint. Like they
Mhm.
managed to get 2-3-5 by Toronto at the event on LAN. So to me, I fully agree. I don't think they're A tier yet. I think it's very kind of obvious to me who the A tier teams are. And I just don't think Boston's on the level with them. And I think they're the number 1 team in B.
Yeah.
We
you're
could start
right.
kicking some teams
You're
out
right.
now.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely about to start kicking some teams out or moving some teams up. Next on the list is Minnesota, and
Drag them
it kind of kills me
down.
to say this because their major's coming up, and I know those guys are trying to feel good, but they moved down, bro. They're
Ain't nothing to feel good about. Where the Patty P?
Yeah.
Blow it up. Blow it up.
I think the rotates made it worse for them.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I don't
might be
know.
right,
I don't know
Doug.
I don't know if it made them worse. I think everyone else that they've been playing has gotten better. And they've just kind of like stayed the same. But I mean, with everyone else moving forward and getting better, you're just moving downwards. They're going to push you down. They're going to squash you. And I think C tier is probably where they fall. I don't think they're as bad as Florida or Paris because their series are probably a lot more competitive. You know, they still win the majority of their search and destroys. They have taken a hard point here and there. They do,
Oh,
go
but they
down
can't win a game
lot,
1,
but-
Chris.
Yeah, they
They
can't win a game one, but you know they. Still
There are
go
only
last
2
quite a
wins,
few-
too,
quite a
Chris.
few, So
There are only 2 wins. Sorry for cutting you off, but there are only 2
Go ahead.
wins in this qualifier were reverse sweeps. So they could have easily went 0-5.
true, but at the same time, we can
Again-
make the same
against
argument we
lackluster
made for
teams.
Seattle in the first, what is it called?
Well, that was different.
qualifiers
That was
where-
round 11 wins.
Okay, but regardless, Minnesota, at the very least, has ice. That's a lot more that can be said for the teams underneath them.
That's
so
true.
I think
You're
C
right.
is very fair. I don't think they need work. They need a roster change. It's they need more I honestly I don't even know if a roster change can save them, because if they were to switch out maybe one or two players, I'm not entirely sure if that's gonna do everything in the world for them. I think they just need more production out of some of their people. And if like some of their superstars, like for example, Standy is not nearly as in the level of like gameplay that he had in Cold War. He was a superstar in Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, he has not been playing that well. Although I don't think he should be like replaced, because you've already seen, what he's capable of. My boy needs to start performing, like, period. And whether
Yeah,
that's,
they need a superstar. They do.
yeah, they
Needs
need
to perform
another.
like one.
They definitely need another sub player on the team, that can match pace.
But that also
or
means
just help each other perform better, in my opinion.
that also means if they get another sub player, then they got to move their AR. Like someone's got to go, right? Like one of those
Yeah.
ARs have to go. So it's
Bro,
like, are you taking
honestly,
Attach or Major Maniac? Because it's got to be one of them.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't care what anyone says. I fucking love Priesta, and I know what he's capable of, but Priesta has not looked good like this entire time, regardless of their two ARs, right, or their AR players. Major Maniac, he might not be the best player in the world, but at least in Search and Destroy, I definitely think his leadership in that game mode helps him a lot. Dylan, you're not getting rid of Attach with the way he's been playing. I think Preston, sadly, has been some of their weakest link, and it's not because and it's not that I want to see him off the roster, and it could be because I think he's probably been uncomfortable because he has had to role swap and stuff like that. But I think their struggles lie in their flex, not their main ARs. I don't think it's their ARs problem. I think they need a new flex that can.
But Attach is their flex right now.
Okay, but I don't think he should be playing a flex. I think he should be secondary, the secondary AR on like most.
That's a flex.
Yeah, technically in this game it's a flex. But I know what Chris is saying.
Technically, in this game, I've seen a lot more. Sorry, this is just another off-topic thing, but I've seen more teams running 2 ARs on Bokage. Though I think we've seen less 3 subs, and I think we've seen more 3 ARs that we see on like Gabutu, for example.
My team's pulling out 2 ARs on Bokage a lot. I noticed.
Yeah, the meta's changing. People are starting to copy FaZe when it comes to Bokage.
Exactly. So when you're playing Bokage, for example, you need the 2 actual ARs, which would be in this case scenario Major Maniac and Attach, right? And then you would need your 2 subs, which would be Priesta and Standy. And then on Gavutu, that's where they get to pull out a 3rd AR. So technically, your flex goes from being your second AR to being the 3rd AR, in my opinion. So I think that issue lies on Priesta, because that's that player's current category of playstyle. So unfortunately, he has not been playing well at all. I don't know if you guys can agree with me, but like.
Yeah,
none of them have though.
Yeah.
Neither has Standy. Standy's been pretty lackluster as well.
But regardless, I don't think you drop Standy because
I don't think you drop Priesta.
I don't know.
Dude, I have a feeling that if Priesta gets traded or let go, he's going to go to another team, run a sub, and be a beast. I genuinely feel like that'll be the case.
For his sake, I hope so. But like, I think even he would agree with me, because he's I know the type of person he is.
You got to think if you're Minnesota.
He's the type of person that's very he's the type of person that's very hard on himself. And even in Cold War, when they had those stretches of them being like not very good before they won their major, Priesta was the person that needed to step up the most out of everyone. And he ended up doing so, and that ended up propelling everyone to playing a lot better and eventually winning the major. And I think he's in a very similar scenario now, except everyone else is also playing worse, where he's just not playing well. And I know what he's capable of, but he has not been the consistent, super aggressive beast that we know him to be. And I think it's kind of unfair that a lot of people put their issues on, like, let's say Major Maniac, right? Because I think a lot of people will look at him and he's like the weak link, when in my opinion, I don't think he's warranted that much degree of criticism in comparison to some of the other players that we already know to be superstars. Like, why aren't they playing well? You know what I mean? So anyways, I think that's my take on it.
If you're Minnesota, you're obviously very high on this kid Real, right? And they signed him as their substitute.
He can't speak English, Doug.
Yeah, his English is bad apparently.
It doesn't matter though. I mean, Paco's English was bad, and they put him in on New York.
No.
He had a whole year. He had a whole year to learn.
I also heard his English is worse than Paco's.
Oh, like than it was at the start. So
yeah.
Like if that's their case, Doug, they got to put him on Rosetta Stone like yesterday.
So you're telling me that they signed this guy and said, you know what, we think that this guy could be the future of our team. This guy could definitely contribute towards Minnesota ROKKR. And we're just gonna have him sit for the whole first year so he could learn English
I mean,
because we really
officially
believe
a
in this
sub,
guy.
though.
you know how it is though.
He's
No,
their
that's probably
academy
not what they're
player.
thinking. Half
He's
of
on
these
their
mu-
academy team. Their actual sub is Looney. We already know this. We had the
Yeah.
actually I think
Their
we had
real
this
sub's
conversation with
Looney.
Blank, but yeah, I heard the real sub is Looney. So if they ever had an emergency, they'd have to put him in. But regardless, they still have access to their academy roster. So if they wanted to dip their feet in there, they could. But real, yeah, like I said, I heard his English is worse than Paco's. I don't know how much truth there is to this. So if anyone ever watches
Teams
this
just
and
don't
gives us
care,
some
bro.
clarification,
Their sub
I don't
is
know.
Looney.
Yeah,
Bro,
what I
Paris's
heard,
theory. Like there's so many of those cases.
yeah, it's
Bro,
bad. But
FaZe is Prestini. This guy, and don't get me wrong, he fried today.
He
but I was-
did play well.
Bro, but he said he hadn't even like updated the game. He had only played rank play a couple times.
But at
Like,
least he like, I know he's taking a year off, whatnot, but like he's trying to come back and compete. Like, bro, Theory is never touching his sticks again. Either is Looney. Like their coaches, GM, like whatever the case may be. That just rubs me the wrong way. But we can move on to the next team. Who would it be? Seattle?
Surge. Yeah.
Seattle.
Come on down.
Down,
They
baby.
with Minnesota, baby.
Keep him
They
in the
are-
A tier. Put him up to the A tier.
What?
Nah, son.
I think they're better-
Yeah.
wait, hold on. I still think they're better than Minnesota, though.
Same. I think they're
Yeah.
above. I think
Put them at
they're
the top of
number
the
one.
C
Yeah.
tier.
They're
I think
just,
this
bro,
is,
they're
yeah, go ahead.
they're so inconsistent. You know, they somehow have FaZe's number. And then they just look lost in the very next series. I don't know what's up with them.
And the one after that.
Well, yeah. And then they obviously beat an LAT team, but we'll get to them when we get to them. Dude, they're so good, but they just can't figure it out to actually be consistent. That's their issue. So I don't think they deserve to be any higher than the C tier right now.
Yeah, I think just talking about them, it's a pretty quiet topic because a lot of their players are pretty reserved and pretty new. So
Yeah.
all we really have to like see, is what the results have currently been, and we've seen them be very good and we've seen them be very bad. So I just don't really see
Or the latter.
anywhere- Yeah. So
Pat is just eating this up,
I
bro.
don't see where they can be anywhere else they can be a C, but they started to be a little bit better than they were the last couple of matches that we've seen them play. Hopefully they start trending upwards because they have a ton of talent on that roster, but they just haven't been able to put it together on a consistent basis. So
And they do seem like they're trying to put it together as well. Like in their matches, they seem a lot more competitive. I feel like they've honestly been choking a couple of their matches too. And like you said, Chris, like they have so much talent on their team. I feel like Lamar's been very consistent, giving them like a good 0.9, 0.95 with a lot of OBJ, doing the same thing every single time. So it's really up to those players, in my opinion, the three, I like to call them the core three of Pred, Mac, and Sib, to not only get the kills and go off, but win games, right? Like
I mean,
everyone
they
can
did-
make little flashy plays, but just win the
Yeah.
game. You know what
they
I mean?
just simply can't get everyone to play at the same level simultaneously. You have maps where Sib and Pred are doing really well. You have maps where just Mac is doing really well. Like accuracy is pretty much the most consistent player on the team. I'm not saying he's a superstar by any means, but you know what you're going to get out of him. It's just more so of a thing.
What
where
did you say?
they're- Accuracy. I feel
What?
like I feel like
You know
he's-
what you're getting out of Lamar.
you know what you're getting.
I
out
feel
of
like
Lamar.
Mac has been their most consistent
No,
player.
I'm talking about I'm not saying in terms of like being good. I'm talking about in terms of like his performances. Like you know what you're going to get out of Lamar. Like I'm not saying he's like playing better
Okay.
than anyone on the team, but you know what he's going to get out of him. It's more so that their problem is they can't get their core three to simultaneously start playing, as good as each other like all the time. Like they have maps where one player seems to just be shitting the bed at some points and they just can't get him out of it. And I think that's their biggest issue is just their consistency factor. I don't really see a world where them dropping anyone is going to necessarily make them better unless there's just some superstar that's waiting to get picked up that might help them. But realistically, they picked up Mac was one of the best players in challengers at a point in time before he got picked up into the league. They picked up Sib, which again, one of the best players in challengers. They picked up Pred, which again, one of the best players in challengers. They don't really have a world where they can make roster changes because they've technically picked up the best at some points. They just got to develop, and I think they'll be better.
Yeah,
Pat, your
but
thoughts?
when we say like players got to develop to be better, they usually don't start strong and regress. Like they usually start weak and then build their way up. for me, this Seattle team just like overperformed early on, and then now we're seeing their kind of true colors. I think they were just ahead. They caught everybody off guard. Players were obviously showcasing their talent, and I think they had played more than other teams at the kickoff. And ever since then, we haven't. It's just been a falling a falling trend line. So I don't know. I agree with you. I think they picked up the best talent in challengers, but that doesn't always necessarily mean that the team itself will work to success. So I don't know. I just still think they're kind of where they are, and unless something happens, I don't see them really going that much higher. I think they have a floor though. I don't think they're going to fall into like the D tier. I think they're at least more competitive than some of these teams, but I just don't think they're as good as they once were, and I don't think they'll reach that again.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that's fair, Pat. I think that's definitely fair.
All right, so next team that we're going to move into is the Los Angeles Guerrillas. My boys,
Keep 'em there.
Your thoughts?
Right
I agree
there.
with Doug.
Don't move him.
I agree with Doug.
I'd move them to the right one probably.
You think?
Okay, we could move it to the right. I agree with Pat
Wait,
actually.
No. So what was your schedule this week or this weekend?
They
This
played
weekend
OpTic
or-
last with a fill-in.
this last weekend.
LAT and OpTic.
LAT, OpTic. That was all they played.
Yeah, and keep in mind they went game 5 like down to the wire versus they lost an S&D to LAT and a control.
Round 11 though.
Still
True,
to
and then
LAT. That's even worse, Ian. That means LAT won around 11.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I just look at it. They're definitely getting better. Okay.
Did LAG go 2-2?
No, they went 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, they beat Paris, Seattle, and LAT. They lost to Florida, which was their first match. They got bodied 0-3, and then they
That's
lost.
what I'm
to,
saying. Like what?
No, but I think they've gotten better. I think Slasher has improved a lot. He's been playing like Slasher of old the last couple of series, I would say. Even in their series where they had Spart, which was unfortunate because they still wouldn't have won, but I think it would have been closer. Slasher still played great. And I think the team is getting better at games that are or game modes 2 and 3. Like I think they are getting better at S&D and they're getting better at control. I don't know if it's the ticks that's helping them. Clearly not on Gavutu because they've yet to cap a B point. But I don't know. I think that they're just improving. Excuse me. This food festival got me twisted, maybe. Compared to the other teams where they're either stagnant or regressing below them, like I think it would be unfair to put them in the C tier. But I say they're bottom B tier.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going that way. I just think like
You think
you
York
lose
is better than LAG at this point in time? If they were to match up, you think
They might be.
Going off just the stage 2 qualifier, right? Like they got 3-0'd by Florida. They beat a Paris team.
Seattle and LAT. Not the best
Seattle
teams.
team, and they beat like teams that are really struggling, and then they lose to Florida and the OpTic one. I think they lose that regardless of Pierce or Spart, so I'm just going to assume that's a loss anyway. To me, yeah, I think they're the bottom of the B tier, but I think they have a higher ceiling to go, and like you said, they've all been improving. But to me, it still bothers me. I know it's not a statistic thing, but to me, it feels like aSim is literally their like X factor, most consistent playmaker. I think Pierce statistically is their best player, but to me, aSim's the one who impressed me the most on this team. I still want to see more out of Slasher. I know he's been picking it up recently, and I definitely want to see more out of Huke. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but just I think these guys used to be superstars, and that's kind of they knew that. They were still kind of like not a throw together team, but they were all like kind of the outcast superstars.
Dude.
Yeah, so to me, I just want to see more out of them. Like, but I agree.
Huke's the weak link right now on the team,
and it was Slasher like a few weeks ago.
It just shows you how easily like things could change in the league and how much talent we actually have. I feel I don't really think it's more so like Huke used to be a 1.8, which he was, and he's not anymore. But I don't think it's because he's not good or he can't win or he's not able. Like I still think he's producing and I still think that he's doing fine. Like this LAG team is very weird to me because we have this mid-season break coming up after this tournament, and I genuinely wouldn't know what to do if this team places like T6. Because I just feel like that's what they've been all year. It's basically like a T6 team. They show some strides. They lose some close series. A player doesn't play well. Then another player steps it up. Then another player doesn't play good. It's just hard to put your finger on this
They're
team.
literally like a better version of Seattle, and that's probably why they're so close in the tier list, right?
Yeah, that's a really good.
It's just like they have talent, but they just can't put it together consistently. They're competitive. They're more competitive than Seattle is most of the time, but they're not in the range that a team with this many, talented players should be in. And I think they know that, right? And it's going to be one of those things where if they don't really make any improvements in terms of placings, in terms of their trending, I think, and the way they're trending, I think they're probably going to be looking at, potential maybe roster changes. We've already been talking about how there's a lot of good pieces out there and a lot of teams that definitely need help. Like there might be some fucking LA to LA trades like at some point. Who knows, right? If that's even a possibility. But I think, by slasher standards and gunless standards, those guys hate, losing. Those guys definitely don't see themselves as middle of the pack players, middle of the pack teams. So I'm interested to see how they do at the major and what kind of impact that has on the roster, if any at all. But I think bottom of the B tier is definitely a perfect spot for those guys right now.
And I think putting New York ahead of them is a good call too, because I mean, you don't know what their ceiling is. All they're doing is winning, and we already know they had talented players. So they have the talented players just like LAG, but they're actually putting it together and stringing wins along too, which obviously in the league isn't easy to do. So I think that we're pretty much spot on. I don't think London moving forward, like we have Boston, New York, Guerrillas, then we got London. I don't think they should move too much, but I think that the three teams in front of London are all going to be teams that we're going to have to move around right now to like really see where London's going to stand.
I say we start with Thieves, right? Like, because Thieves are the one that's probably going to move the most.
Yeah, they're the outlier right now.
Drag them down, James. Drag them down.
Yeah, definitely down.
Wait, Ian. We need to hear from Ian. Ian, where do you think we should put Thieves? I need to know from you first.
Honestly, I'd probably say they're definitely in the C tier, in my opinion. But
what was their schedule? It was
so here's the thing that's tough.
LAG.
They lost to Paris as well. Go ahead.
The thing that's tough is they lost to LAG, they lost to Seattle, they lost to Minnesota. Okay.
Hold on. They're 0-5. They lost to everybody.
No. Yeah, but I'm saying like the teams in their tiers or right above them.
Yeah.
And they lost to OpTic. All those series were 3-2s. Now, I know that a loss is a loss, but it's hard because like I feel like I would probably put them at the front of C tier, even though they lost to Minnesota and Seattle. They lost to Seattle 3-1, by the way, not 3-2. But the other ones,
the only way I could justify that being a thing with you, Ian, is because simply they were a lot better than these two teams that they're in the same tier with at a point. So them going down under.
I just feel like they're more competitive.
Yeah, they're definitely more competitive
to the field.
Yeah, I think one thing that we'll say is the reason why we're so hard on this team is because, again, it's a team with a lot of talented players, a lot of superstar players, blockbuster players. They're not as bad as like the worst teams in the league, but at the same time, they're bad for the amount of talent on this roster. These guys.
The fact that they're in the C tier, they're basically like the worst team in the league.
Dead last. Yeah. Because with their team, that'd be like OpTic being 0-5, right? OpTic would still be better than all the teams underneath them in like the D and C, but they would still, like for OpTic being in like a B tier or something like that. That's basically the comparison that we're trying to make.
I wouldn't argue with you guys if you didn't have them in front of Seattle or Minnesota, but I think we'd probably all agree that they're in the C tier. I don't think they're not D tier team.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest question is like, obviously, I think the egos are what hurts the most. Like, and it's not even so much like these players have egos because they're talented, which obviously every player in the league is going to have a form of an ego if you get in the league. Like, you have to keep an edge. But when you represent that brand, there's a lot that's expected of you. And for you to lose all 5 of your matches with all that talent on your team, it really makes it hard for me to not say they're a D tier team currently because they can't win a series against anyone and they can't win a search and destroy against anyone. So I think we're just kind of giving them a break because of their talent and because they got top 6 at a major. I think if any other team besides for FaZe or OpTic were to get top 6, like if Toronto got top 6 at the first major and then went 0-5, I think all of us would put them in the D tier. So
the difference is, Doug, sorry. The difference is they just went game 5 in like so many of their series. They're still winning maps. They're not getting blown out. Like they're just, and bro, it pains me to say this. They literally look like the biggest choke artists I've ever seen on some of these maps, especially in S&D.
That's facts. No, that's
so it's
facts.
like, bro, some of these S&Ds they're playing, they literally are dominating First Bloods, having multiple 4v2s, getting 3v or 1v3'd repeatedly. It's like they do all the hard work and then just choke. And yeah, that's also, I mean, that does state how bad you are as a team, but they are at least competitive in these situations. And that's the only reason they're not in D tier. Because otherwise, you're right. If they weren't competitive and they go 0-5 and look this bad overall, then they're a D tier team. But they're winning maps. They're taking OpTic, for example, round 11, game 5. By the way, they were up 5-4. They should have won that. But like, they're just competitively bad. Does that make sense? Like
even looking at the major, the first major, right? They literally got reverse swept by Thieves. Or not Thieves. They got reverse swept by FaZe. And who else did they play? I think that they went like really far with. Did they play OpTic too?
They lost to Toronto 3-2 in the winners bracket.
3-2. Okay, yeah. So they lost 3-2, 3-2.
That's what I'm saying.
3-2, 3-2. They're competitive. They have zero fucking ice. And I said this like a couple shows ago. I'm like, these guys have no ice.
They're the hottest team in the league.
It got worse.
But not the hottest team in the league, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Because like they don't got no ice. They hot.
Oh, okay.
But they're not hot.
Okay.
If you're looking at the results of the league, sure, you would look at them 0-5 D tier. But if you're actually paying attention to every single one of their matches, yeah, like Pat said, these guys are choking like so hard. Like just put up the Dashy like choking meme, because that's the epitome of this entire roster. Real quick before we move forward on teams, I kind of want to just like talk about the LA Thieves a little bit, and I want to get your guys' opinions, because you know these guys are a hot topic. They're blockbuster players. We can't let them just slide on in while we move through this tier list.
When you look at the players that have retired and some of you guys that are on here right now, you guys can make some excellent coaches in the league. And I think Cap, the thing about coaching that's weird for me, guys, in Call of Duty, and I'm just going to be very honest here, is like I truly don't think the coach has much of an impact on the team's performance. I think that in Call of Duty, it really does come down to the players. Now, with that being said, I have a coach in Challengers that I love, and I think he helps us a lot. He helps us like with terms of being like a fifth voice or watching the mini map as we're playing and giving us advice. But at the end of the day, I always believe that the players are the ones that have to step up and play and do their game. And a coach could give you all the keys, but the players got to go out there and play their game. And I think 9 times out of 10, when the team succeeds or fails, it's on the players. So if I want someone coaching my team, I'd want someone like Cap to be there too, regardless of the team's doing well or not, because I know Cap knows how to win. And I know he's going to be trying everything he can to get the boys to win. Like, I don't think a coach is going to be the reason a team succeeds or fails in Call of Duty.
I agree with you fully. Yeah. Coaches are additive. There's only so much they can add, and they aren't able to be in the game, right? Like at the end of the day, it comes down to the players. Coaches are obviously can have tremendous positive impact, but not in the way that I think people think they can, based on results and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think what Nate said was well said, but I think he kind of missed the point too, because he also kind of like what he said was kind of also indicative of a friendship league, right? That's what like the basis of it was discussing. And the point was like, he said, if these players came and said they didn't want Cap in the room, well, that's the problem, right? Like these guys are all friends. No one's ever going to do that, right? That's just not going to happen. I think the thing where like you evaluate coach's performance should come top down and not bottom up, right? Like why would your players go to management to say, hey, we want a new coach? Like, that's just never, I feel like that's never going to happen. I feel like it's got to get to the point where Nate's talking about, you know, how much of an investment they made into this team. Well, they should be the ones at a management level making the executive decision saying, okay, that's now 2 years. We're not getting the results we wanted. We want to make a change. It's not about waiting for, you know, players to say, hey, we don't think Cap is doing a good job. Obviously, no one's going to say that. I wouldn't say that as a player, even if I felt that was the case. Like, that's just not how it works. So
I would.
Nah, dude, you're not gonna go and blame your coach. You're not gonna be like, bro, we're just getting shit on and choking. We're getting 1v3 left and right. We need a new coach, Nate. Like,
I mean, hey, I did it on Seattle. I didn't have no problem with him. If
you had Joey Nubs, bro,
but, if my
completely
coach,
different situation.
No, hear me out. I'm not tossing the blame on the coach, But if I'm showing up to work every day, you know what I'm saying? And my
showing up.
No, I'm not talking about Cap. I'm just saying with your example, like if my coach isn't doing shit, like I don't care if he's my best friend. Like I'm telling the management, the people that are above, like, hey, he's not really helping. Like, why would you not say that?
My point is more so like based on results. I'm not saying like, because I fully believe Cap is going to work every day and doing his job as a coach, right? Like for sure. My point is like,
he's there every day.
Yeah, my point is like these teams and these management groups that are making the investment, paying the players what they're paying them, they have to be the ones to sit back and evaluate like, hey, we're not getting the results. There's got to be a reason for that. Let's go in and investigate, right? Like not just being like, all right, we got 4 players, we got a coach. Let's just wait until they're unhappy with it and then make a change, right? Because I feel like that's kind of what Nate said. He was like, well, if any of my players came to me and wanted a new coach, yeah, we'd get a new one. But that's not what's happening. Like, so I don't know. I just feel like he kind of missed the mark on.
But in COD, you always would have to go for the players first. You're not switching your coach out before you
might as well do both.
Oh, you're right. But I think what people, or you can go, Chris.
I want to say that I think
Chris about to steal my point. Chris about to steal my damn point. But go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I don't think they should go for the coach. I don't think it's fair to Cap. But the one thing I will say, and I don't know what the insides of LA Thieves looks like, but I don't think they have a very expansive coaching, like they don't have a lot of coaches.
He stole my point. He stole it.
Okay,
he stole it.
I had this point this whole time. I think it's just Cap, right?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
And I think you look at these S tier organizations, because let's be real, LA Thieves, 100 Thieves, they're an S tier organization, right? They're on the level of OpTic, they're on the level of FaZe. Like they should have a bigger coaching staff. Why is like FaZe has like 3, 4, 5, like I don't know how many motherfuckers they got over there. OpTic has at least 2. Even some of the lower teams, they have a coach, they have an analyst, they have a assistant coach. Like you get the point. I think a lot of the responsibility falls on JCap, and I'm not saying he's doing a bad job. I'm not saying he's the reason. I'm not saying their coaching staff is the reason, but in general, they could use another hand. Period. At least on the coaching staff, it's not fair to Cap. I don't think he can handle it. Their S&D is what struggles, and Cap, great player, but he wasn't the most notorious S&D player in the world when he was playing. Like I don't think so. And that was coming from a competitor. I think a lot of us could probably vouch for that. I think he was good, but like for example, Crowder has Tupac, a literally S&D superstar that plays the game every day. Cap probably doesn't play the game as much as maybe let's say Tupac, for example, right? Like what I'm trying to say is exactly. So I'm trying to say is give the man some help. I'm not saying it's because he's incompetent. I think that his coaching style and what he brings to the table could bounce off someone else. I don't see a reason. I don't see a world where that makes them worse. And then on top of that, I think the roster just they need role swaps. They need some sort of change. I think they have a very good sub in Pentagram there if they're looking for a more aggressive sub, because I think some of their aggression and their respawns lacks, at least as of late. But I think the main thing they need help with is search and destroy, man. These guys can't fucking close a series, even with advantages. And I don't know what it is.
They could hire every S&D analyst in the world. It ain't gonna stop them from getting 1v3 world star like that's been happening, bro. Like that to me, it's not.
You're right.
It's not their strategy. Their mid-round adjustments are just terrible, and it's because they're just bad S&D players for the most part. Like they don't work together well. Like they literally, bro. Kenny and Octane, for some reason, don't fucking move on the map. They literally just play picks and hold lanes. And then when Envoy dies, like he's the only one that's trying to make a play sometimes. The round is chalked because he's the bomb carrier. I just feel like this team is just broken in S&D. And no matter who they get, Chris, I don't feel like it's going to help. I think they desperately should look at a role swap first and foremost. But after that, definitely a roster change. I don't think hiring a coach or an analyst or anything is going to change what's wrong with this team personally.
You want to know what they need to do? It's pretty simple to me, if you ask me honestly. I think the biggest thing that this team needs to do is keep Sam where he is. Let him just be his little AR, main AR, get your kills, whatever. Like that's usually what an AR should do. Be your traditional main AR, but then move Kenny to a main sub and move Jazza to the flex. Thieves, if you're watching this, thank me later.
Kenny will never do that. People have been trying to get Kenny to do that for years.
Yeah.
If I'm JCap, I'm going to say, Ken, pull out a sub.
So that's the problem. That's what's not happening.
I don't want to pull out a sub. I don't want to pull out a sub, Ken.
That's what's problem. That's not happening.
Pull out a sub, Ken. Y'all, you don't want to pull out a sub? We'll go find a sub. Like, that's what I would tell him. Like, look, the team needs to win. I want the team to win. You've been running an AR for 2 years now. You know, you did it in BO4 with the Maddox. You were the best sub in World War II. You were an MVP player. I mean, Ian, you play with that guy. He was a walking two-piece every life. Pat, you gassed him up. I mean, the guy's a walking
I tell him all the time, and I think he should run a sub, but that's
I don't care.
He's just not gonna, bro. It's obvious.
Yeah, but like you can't be on a CDL team and say you're running a main AR when you're literally getting smoked and you're losing, and then your coach is asking you to make a change. You do what the coach tells you to do.
I don't think coach is gonna ask for that change.
He should.
And I don't think JCap has the balls to do that. JCap was partially involved and very supportive of Ken running a main AR last year in Cold War. I remember getting to like a Twitter argument with him, like when Ken wanted to do that switch and JCap fully supported it. So I think it's the opposite, Doug. I think Cap's listening to Kenny, not the other way around.
There's two. I mean,
that was a problem then, Pat. That's a problem.
That's what we were talking about before with the friendships.
There's two ways they go with this, right? They get rid of if they're stupid. They get rid of Draza and just find another sub and pray their current dynamic works, and they just need another sub player.
Wait, what?
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying these are the options that they do. I'm saying
they never do that. Just for the record, they never do that. In my opinion,
that'd be stupid. Secondly, another thing they could possibly do, they bend to Kenny's will of running an assault rifle, and they say, "Fuck it, your main AR, Sam, out the door.
You gone, motherfucker.
You gone." Right? Because Sam has been one of probably the weaker of the two, unfortunately. Or they try to roll swap, but I just don't think that's even going to happen. And if Kenny is as adamant as he says he is about running an assault rifle, that's basically damn near condemning Sam or Octane, because even if he's forced to swap, bro, if you're not having fun or enjoying what you're doing, you're going to perform. You're not going to perform at the level that these people expect you to.
Yeah. I don't think he would go into running a sub being like, yeah, like even if he ran it, it would be like, oh, okay, my team wants me to run a sub. Like, let me run a sub for a couple of days.
Yeah, it'd be mentally checked out just doing it, right?
Yeah.
Ian, I need to know from your perspective, does Ken want to run a main AR because it's the safest role in the league and he's so talented where it's like he would literally be undroppable because he's so good? Or like what could it possibly be? Like, I'm just trying
it's a confidence thing.
I'll be honest. I've heard people say that like the SOG broke him, but I haven't really, like, I've never had a conversation with him about it. But looking back on it, it makes sense. Kenny never was wanting to be an SMG player. So when he first played professional Call of Duty, he was an AR player in Advanced Warfare. He was an AR player, did not run the sub, and that's just what he liked. Fast forward to a couple years, he had to sit out. The only team or the best offer was that TK team, World War II, and he was it was either you run this role for this team, which is going to be your best shot at like success off the rip and really making a name for yourself, or not, because he had accuracy and Chino on his team. So he had to run the PPSH. And then it just kind of happened that he was dominant with it. You know, the best player in the game, best sub in the game, blah, blah, blah. But he never really wanted to do it. And then Black Ops 4 comes, the SOG is the worst SMG of all time. And he's like, what? Like, I don't even want to run this fucking role anyways. And so now I think in his head, it's just like he's at the point now where he can run what he wants to run. And he never wanted to run a sub in the first place. That's what I think is happening.
I have a good analogy, and you might think I'm faded, but like LeBron in high school, he was dominant at a wide receiver. But like, think logically.
You're talking about different sports.
No, but hey, different sports can be compared to like AR,
okay,
SMG.
Keep going. Let me hear.
Yeah, but you realize you're going to be much more successful at basketball. It's going to be you're obviously like he understands like trajectory wise, he's going to be much more successful. So he goes that route and he stays with it. It's the same thing. It's like if Ken, whether he enjoys one more or the other, if he knows not only himself individually, but his team will be way more successful going the route of him being a main sub because of how damn good he is in that role, even if it wasn't his preferred route or role, why wouldn't he just run with it? The MP40 is the most comparable SMG we've had to the PPSH. It makes no fucking sense. I think you should run it.
It's not assault. You should. I'm with you.
I know, but why can't he understand that like success wise, individually and for his team, it's not more beneficial for him. I just don't get that.
It beats me. The one thing I will add to the whole cap debate, since Chris just stole my shit right from under me.
Man, come on.
Besides the fact that Chris is right, when you look at every other org, especially every other top org, they have multiple coaches, they have analysts. It's tough for one person to do. You know, like Cap simply just doesn't have with nowadays all the advanced statistics and everything, where you could basically find out what you're great at on every single map, every single hill, every single bomb site, like the nitty gritty. Cap doesn't have that just at the ready. You know, obviously he's watching them scrim and they're going over things, and he can help make them, I guess, as ready as possible going into these matches. But like you said, like all you guys said, Cap's not playing. They have to execute. The one issue that I think Cap has, and he's always had that as a player, is no matter what, he's going to make them as prepared as he possibly can. Okay? And when it comes to Call of Duty knowledge, there's not many brighter than Cap, in all honesty. You know, even the current coaches in the league. Not you, Pat.
I played more than Cap.
Cap's
and more successful.
Cap's shortcomings.
I can't wait for Cap to watch this and tweet me. I can't wait for Cap to watch this and tweet me back.
He's so mad. He's so mad.
He's gonna tweet me back for sure.
But Cap's shortcomings is it's not social IQ, but he can't manage personalities. That's never been Cap's forte. Okay, like he's going to be very blunt. He'll tell you how it is, but he can't make sure that they are level-headed. The best way I can explain that is Crowder's the best at it. Crowder's the best in the business when it comes to that, where he won't let FaZe get too high, too on their high horse, right? Even if everything is going right, he's not letting them get like overjoyed. And then on the opposite, if shit's going wrong, he's not letting them lose confidence. And if they are, he's helping them build their individual confidence, their team confidence back. Cap doesn't have that in his coaching bag. And I think sorry, just to finish, I think you see that already, because the whole thing, don't challenge us on Gavutu, don't challenge us on Gavutu. They were very cocky on that early on when shit was going right? And I don't know if Cap was just letting them go off the rails with that. And then right now, bro, they have no confidence in themselves, in each other. Like, and it just shows every single map. They have no confidence. And I don't think Cap is that guy. Like, they need someone that can manage personalities and get everyone back on the same page and feeling confident in their gameplay again.
I think that's a good point. I think to me, the biggest thing is Cap doesn't stand out to me as a person who can just instill confidence in his players, right? Just based on his personality.
We all know Cap. We know Cap.
Yeah, especially when it's going wrong. Like, it's really easy for anyone to do this when shit's going right. Like, it's so easy. But it's the moment something goes wrong, to be able to like really
pull the reins.
Yeah, and instill confidence back in somebody and step up to the plate and have that conversation and be able to talk in the way that's receptive to the players, to be like, all right, yeah, like we can get back to whatever we're trying to achieve. That's probably the one thing where he's struggling. But look, man, enough about the Thieves. We talked about them way too damn long. They got a lot of work to do. Next team up, you just want to go short and sweet with OpTic, because
yeah, I mean they're next. They are
put them in the S tier.
They're the only team in the S tier.
I agree with you there.
I mean, listen, I think FaZe will be an S tier, but we'll see after this major. I think after this major, we'll come back. We'll have this convo after FaZe is the reigning Major 2 champions. After they
come on down, get them boys out of there, baby.
Defeat OpTic, probably 5-0, 5-1 in the best of 9.
I still think FaZe is an S tier. They're just behind OpTic. You're comparing FaZe to what, London? Because let's be real, Ultra is definitely moving down, but you're just comparing them to London?
Bro, right now, FaZe might be closer to London than they are to OpTic.
But I think FaZe are just better than London.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah.
So
of course.
I think they're a tier ahead. And I think that's why kind of FaZe should be an S tier team.
You know, the OpTic fans are going to hate us if we don't give OpTic the S tier by themselves.
I don't give a fuck. I ain't giving a fuck about an OpTic fan.
Well, hold on, wait. What's our definition of S tier, though? I mean, OpTic won.
Better than everyone else below them.
And that's what OpTic is right now.
Not even close.
5-0.
But it's also true for FaZe. FaZe would be better than everyone else below them.
I would say that if FaZe put up a better
London
fight
back
in
to
the
B tier,
finals.
then.
Nah, London's definitely an A tier, because London's better than everyone else below them.
Well, shit, add another tier then.
No, you can't add a tier per team. I think that FaZe is in the A tier, just like that with London. I don't think Ultra is going to stay in there either. I think they didn't.
But I don't think FaZe and London are close. Like, I think it's like clear cut. Top two.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
then
that
everyone else.
The S tier. I mean, OpTic kind of bullied.
But
FaZe
why not?
When they played them.
Dude, they didn't bully them. They won 2 game 5 or round 5 controls. The series was 5-2. By the way, in the winner bracket, the series was 2-0 FaZe. They got reverse swept. Not a bully. It was just a close series. In the best of 9 grand finals, there was 2 controls that went round 5 each time. Defense won every single round. There also was the example of Arcitys lagging in the one map. Could have been extended. I don't think FaZe were playing that good at that event regardless, but that wasn't a bullying to me. Like, it was 5-2. Most of those maps were pretty close.
Can I explain
FaZe
my
could have
reasoning?
FaZe could have won the control. I'm sorry. Let me just stop. One
ahead,
second.
Doug.
FaZe could have won the control, right? And they're probably going to be better now that it's Tix and it's more objective oriented because of the more teamwork that's going to be used. FaZe is obviously going to get better. OpTic, a very slay heavy team, so the kills definitely matter. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, 5-2 is 5-2. And I don't see OpTic losing Search and Destroy.
That was also their home major, though, where they had and you guys know, like, especially for these guys on OpTic, like, having that crowd behind them was probably massive for them. Look at, like, back to Bruce in that Vegas BO4 event when he had the crowd behind him. It was the same thing. He just fucking fried. Like, 1.5 had fucking Bruce chance. I think we got to, like, really be realistic about how good this FaZe team still is, even though they lost 5-2 in a close best of 9 to OpTic. They were one game mode away from 3-0ing them in the winner bracket. So it's like, it's not like there's a different level here.
Here's the thing. There's some you guys aren't thinking about. Look at OpTic and FaZe versus the field. From what we've seen from these qualifiers, yeah, I think FaZe is the second best team. They're better than all those other teams right there, better in London. OpTic, besides the one series where they should have, they should have bodied them, but where they were testing their worst maps, every other win was easy peasy lemon squeezy. Atlanta FaZe has had a lot more trouble with these teams. They lost to Seattle Surge. They had a 3-2 versus Toronto. Just the overall maps have been a lot harder, whereas OpTic is just kind of breezing by. Like OpTic, no one is really giving OpTic trouble right now. That's why I just don't think you could put another team in the same tier with them. Like, we're going to see at the major. We're going to see at the major if it holds true. But I think for right now, heading into it, they just look like they're a tier above every single team. In my opinion.
That's what S tier is, Ian, right? Like, I can't put FaZe in that same tier right now.
I'm with Doug, man. I'm with Doug. This way, I'm with Doug.
I think you guys are right. As much as it's
we'll
it's
see.
The S tier.
We'll see when we get back. When Major 2 reigning champs, Atlanta FaZe holding up the belt. We'll see, and we'll be able to talk about this. And hey, I'll be able to come back on this show and be like, I told y'all, FaZe the best in the business.
YouTube viewers out there, if you hate Aches, hit the sub button. Use the sub button as a hate.
Why are you trying to get prime from OpTic fans? I see you're just trying to get primes.
I'm a real one.
I thought the stream like, yo, let me get some primes. Nah, but he's trying to get primes.
I'm going to turn my stream on Twitch.
Okay, so OpTic, FaZe definitely taken care of. I don't think we have much to touch on with London because London is right underneath FaZe, definitely A tier, very solid. Beat Boston Breach, who was a tier underneath them, pretty convincingly this past weekend. But
Toronto Ultra,
outlier, Toronto Ultra.
Pat's champs. They're behind NYSL. They're behind NYSL. Get them down.
Yeah, they're definitely down a tier.
You think they're still in that MB tier?
Yeah, bro, Chris, they literally.
I can't.
Bro, hold on.
Listen,
dude, they are okay. They are still so good at 2-3-5 and ass at 1-4. I think their record is in their last 18 games in Hardpoint, they're 2-16. Bad. They lost 8 in a row, and then they won 2, which was in one series, and then they lost 8 more in a row. So, like, to me, this team is just so bad and struggling so bad at Hardpoint, which they were pretty good at in the beginning. It wasn't like their best mode by any means, but they were competitive. They had their maps. But now I feel like they lost their maps and more importantly, they lost their confidence. They've obviously been struggling with COVID. I don't know if you guys saw some of them tweet about like, you know, they felt they were getting better and progressing at Hardpoint, but then Cammy got sick, Bance got sick. It's just like kind of a repetitive theme for them where they're in the cycle. I think this team turns it around. They're traditionally been known for their teamwork. They've had some like slow moments in the past and they've always got out of it. I just think right now, unquestionably they got to be moved down, but I think this team is the one that will rebound and has the highest ceiling out of all these other teams. if they can just get back to where they should be performing, they're going to be a solid team back in that top 4 conversation. But yeah, for now they got to go down, and I don't know. I hope they turn around at the major. I don't know how that'll be possible so soon, but hopefully, because I think they're an exciting team to watch, especially the fact that they're so clutch in those swing modes.
They will. I mean, bro, even though they had a horrible record, it's the same thing we were saying about LAT. Even though LAT is way worse than them, is 3 of their 4 losses. Was it? Did they? Yeah, they won 1 of 4.
Game 5.
Well, yeah, we're game 5s, and it's like you have to assume that they will eventually figure hardpoint out at least enough to be 50%. Where you're just not losing at both hardpoints a series.
Think about this. At Major 1, it was the opposite. They were like 4-1 in game 5s.
Yeah.
Like they won all their game 5s, and that's how they got top 4 without winning a hardpoint.
Which is insanely impressive, by the way.
I agree.
Yeah. So it might be possible again, right? They might just come out, lose all the fucking hardpoints, but just clutch up in the game 5s. Like it's possible. So I think it's really hard to have a conversation that they're any lower than B. I mean, you could maybe say they're worse than the Guerrillas currently, just based on their performances, but I like them where we got them. I don't know about you guys.
No, I think it's spot on. I think this is actually really good.
Keep the head of Guerrillas, but under New York because of how well New York has played over this past 2 weeks since they got Paul.
Well, New York hasn't lost a hardpoint yet. That's why. I mean, dude, hardpoint's 2 out of 5 modes, and they haven't lost one yet. Like they're 6-0 since they got Paul. I just, I'm excited to see if this really translates to land for them. Hopefully, it will.
Bro, imagine the scenes. Would they go 0-15 at hardpoint before they got their first win or something?
13, I think.
Imagine if now they go on a 13-0 run with
That'd
Paul.
be dominant. That'd be dominant.
That would be comedy.
Like,
that's a good list.
Be happy, but that'd be dominant.
This list makes a lot of sense, I think. I think just like with the first list at the time, it made a lot of sense too.
Yeah, at the time we said that, and then after we pulled up this list just now, right? Right before we started the show, and I was looking at this, I was like,
bro, my OCD is getting me though. Maybe we pull a team in S tier like Minnesota, so it's even across the board.
Wait, hold on. Think about it. When we made that
top to
tier
bottom,
list,
it's symmetrical.
When we made that tier list, wasn't it before the major? Right? It was before Major 1.
It was before Major 1. Yeah.
So it really wasn't that bad based on how Major 1 pinned out. We had Toronto, London, FaZe, and OpTic, and Thieves in S&A, and they were all top 6. So in reality, our tier list was spot on for Major 1.
Yeah, we might.
This tier list might. Do we think that this is how it's going to play out? OpTic,
dude,
FaZe, finals, London third,
the problem
Boston
is,
fourth.
The problem is there's going to be some matchups in the lower half that's going to be tricky because I think
where a team is better than they
Surge is going to because Surge is going to play ROKKR, so one of them are technically going to be bottom 4 and not both of them. So there's going to be some situations like that, but I think overall I think we're pretty spot on.
All right, well that's going to do it for our tier list leading into Major 2. I think we're all pretty spot on here. Hopefully turns out this way. It'll be kind of fun to see how close we can get every single major. But we're going to move into some pick'ems.
All right, let's get into pick'ems. We're going to do a little bit different this time around. I want each of you to write down your grand finalist. So both teams you have in the grand final, who you have winning the map count. And also, I want you to write down your underdog for the entire event. So whoever you think is going to kind of be the dark horse and surprise the most teams, and then we'll go one by one and discuss them. So I'll give you guys a few seconds to write them down. Already got mine, of course.
Locked in.
Ian, let's start with you.
You mean to start first?
Yeah, I want you to go first.
Bam.
Can't even see yours.
Oh, you can't see?
There we go. I had to
okay.
Make you bigger.
You got the colors too?
Yeah, you know how to. Oh, yeah. Well, the yellow doesn't really translate that well, but OpTic FaZe, my 2 finalists. They're just the 2 best teams in the game right now. But I do think OpTic is still strong. They're the most well-rounded team in the league. Best control team. Their hardpoints lights out. Their S&Ds lights out. I do think FaZe will compete a little bit closer, but OpTic's going back-to-back. And then for my underdog / dark horse, we got NYSL. I have them getting top 3, baby.
All right, you're drunk.
Wait, let me finish. I might be a little... But sometimes all you need is one change. Okay, I know from personal experience. All you need is one change. It could change the whole dynamic of the team. And it's crazy what Paul X has done. It really is. Not just his individual performance, but Neptune looks a lot more comfortable having Paul be that flex player. Hydra's obviously still playing great. Crim is still doing Crim things, but he's been able to play a lot slower and really kind of just be like the floor general, essentially, for this NYSL team. He is now the sole leader instead of kind of having him and Clay going back and forth. So, dude, they look good. They look good. I know they haven't played the best competition, but I'm expecting them to kind of, go on a little bit of a run.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Doug, you're up. What you got for us? I know these takes are
The
going to be horrible.
exact same as Ian, man.
Hey.
What the hell?
Same. Down to the map count, too.
Nah, y'all were texting each other. Y'all were
Smart
texting each
minds
other.
think alike.
But I will say, I don't think New York will get top 3. I think they're going to get top 4. And if you guys watch our podcast and you look at our prediction from last time for stage 1, and you're looking at it for this time, I'm just saying we're pretty spot on. I think New York is going to finish 3rd or 4th at this major. And I think Boston will also get top 4 as well, just considering about what these teams have been doing recently in their matches. And yeah, I think OpTic, like how Ian said, is just still the best team in the game. And I don't think it's that close, to be honest with you. I think that we're still trying to put FaZe on the same pedestal, which obviously, like, they've shown that they could still be great. They've had some ups and downs this year, but I don't know. I'm just getting that same vibe I got in AW when you were on that team, Ian, and you were just running OpTic's pockets every single tournament. So
Same,
I gotta say
Dougie.
OpTic 5-3, man.
Listen, I hate to do both of you dirty right here live. Not live, but on the show. I don't know if either of you have seen the bracket, but New York played FaZe round 1 in the winter bracket.
matter.
So,
It don't matter.
They drop in losers 1, and y'all thinking they gonna run it all the way through losers to get
Why
to
can't
loser
they?
finals.
I know exactly where they're at.
That's a lot of series versus a lot of teams. And then Doug
they just played 4 or 5 series in the league.
And then versus the not very good teams. But Doug, and then to your point, I think you had Boston also getting top 4. That's going to be super tough for them. And you guys, London's in that bottom half of the loser bracket, and I think they are really set again to make that same run they made at Major 1, where they can just go to easy route and get into the winter finals, which guarantees them top 3. Which guarantees them top 3, as we all know. But anyway, Chris, you up, man? What you got?
This is gonna look rigged. But we got OpTic versus
Good
FaZe.
man.
Let's go,
3,
Chris.
And we got New York
Not
Subliners
you
top
too,
4.
bro.
See, I wasn't looking at the bracket, but now that you put it that way, it's gonna be a lot harder to run. But to your argument, how you said they got to beat a lot of teams. Hey, bro, look at the stage they just had, right? With their new changes, they did beat a lot of teams. It might not have been the best teams, but they're going to be facing a couple of those teams, and they might have the edge on some of these older teams, right? That might look at them as pushovers because they're coming in with the honeymoon phase. Honeymoon phase is very strong. I think New York can make the run, but yeah, in terms of OpTic versus FaZe, bro, come on. Like I was saying it on, I think they said on the flank, the OpTic just looks like the better team. And I don't think it's relatively close. OpTic is dominant. FaZe still has some weaknesses in their armor, and I think I do think they'll be in the finals, but no, OpTic just looks way too good.
All right, well, listen, everybody watching this, you're welcome. I have the only unbiased take here, so I will share mine.
How is that unbiased?
Listen, all of you had the same thing, talking about OpTic winning no shot. This is what's really gonna happen right here. We got FaZe taking down OpTic 5-4, and then we got Ultra as our underdogs. Hey, look, I don't know if Ultra's going to fix their hard point in this event, but I do think they're going to clutch up and do the same thing they did at Major 1, where they're going to make these 2-3-5s, and consistently take them. Hopefully, they're able to win some hard points along the way, but I still think they're a fair underdog based on, what they were able to do at Major 1 and how bad they've been underperforming in the Stage 2 qualifiers. But, hey, I think somehow, some way, FaZe is going to take this one. I think it's going to be a tough battle for them. Obviously, going up against a really good OpTic team. You guys have OpTic winning it, but we'll see. And then when we come back from after Major 2 and we hop on the show, we'll be able to dive into some of these opinions and see how they turn out. But
Pat gonna be salty when Toronto get dead last NYSL top 3, baby.
Nah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. But look, that's it for us. I think this is number 8 for reverse sweep. So we've had 2 months now of knocking these out every Monday for you guys, and we hope you like them. But again, as always, make sure you're down in the comment section, showing us some love, showing us, asking the questions that you want to get asked. We'll always make sure to make it a priority to get them on the show. And yeah, we're trying to pass Crim, so don't let us lose to Crim, bro. I've never lost to him, as y'all know. So hit that subscribe button, get subscribed, and don't miss out on any
Use
more
that fuck
episodes of
X
Reverse
button.
Sweep.
Use that fuck X button.
Yeah, that's what it is. We're gonna have to get some graphics on it. But hey, we'll see y'all next week. Take it easy.